you ready to do this? We're going to jump in.
My name is Josh Harris. Is my mic on right now? I'm 42 years old. I'm 20 years sober. I'm drugs and alcohol. And I'm an ultra endurance runner. I'm the owner of the Bon Vivants and Trick Dog in San Francisco. Today I'm going to be sharing with you a story of rebirth. This rebirth, it began for me just shy of 3 years ago. It's become a most significant inflection point in my life with no facet, emotional, mental, interpersonal, physical, professional, untouched by it. On August 29th, 2021, you're messing up with my timing here. I just sat at the teppanyaki grill at Restaurant Suntory with my dad in Waikiki. It was a great tradition we were carrying on of father-son trips. But before our food even hit the table, I started to feel really funny. The next thing you know, I was on my way to the hospital. I thought I was having a heart attack. But it turned out it wasn't. In the next 2 weeks, I returned to the hospital 3 more times, each time full of fear and anguish. They tested my brain, my nerves, my blood, my heart. And they kept on asking me this one question every time that I dismissed, saying no. And they said, "Do you have a history of anxiety or panic?" No. Finally, by the process of medical elimination, we concluded that I was, in fact, having severe panic attacks. I felt like I was having heart attacks and strokes. How could this be panic? My life, it seemed, it had moved into a state of complete chaos and fear. I thought I was going crazy. My initial dose of Lexapro only exacerbated the mania. It made me feel like I was completely out of control. And I'd been doing everything in my power throughout my sobriety and my addiction before that to not feel out of control. Everything made me feel like I was in quicksand. It felt like I was suffocating. I felt like the drive and determination, the prowess with which I'd engaged in professional tasks, it was gone. And once a few months down the road, I re-engaged in the process of talk therapy. I continued to take my Lexapro with a balanced dosage, which I continue. But of extreme importance, I began my own process devoted to mindfulness and introspection of my journey. And one of the things that I discovered on that was that I hadn't felt anything in 18 years, which up until that point was the entire duration of my sobriety. I hadn't felt anything in 18 years. It necessitated me digging back into the past, and I focused on the journey surrounding my sobriety and my addiction. How does feeling interface with addiction? How does feeling interface with sobriety? Somehow I had found a way through both of those states of addiction and sobriety to not feel anything. I had to go through some de-stim. I stopped drinking coffee. I began regular guided meditations. I stopped watching television. I tried to spend less time on my phone, began reading books, started falling asleep to sleep stories. I was on a shifting plane of opposing ideas. Mindlessness versus mindfulness. Connection versus disconnection. For years, I'd been trying to live in a state of mindlessness because mindfulness was too crazy for me. During this time, my running evolved from recreational 5K runner to ultra endurance 100-miling maniac in a very short period of time. And an important question began to get raised, which was, who am I if not a runner? Which are questions that we ask ourselves with insert anything there. Who am I if not this? Who am I if not an addict? Who am I if not a bar professional? Who am I if not a runner? Endurance running hasn't made it just all okay for me, though. It's actually complicated stuff. I regularly experience panic during running, and I've developed somewhat of a mantra that I train. And I use it when things feel uncomfortable. There's strength in the balance between the heart, mind, and body. And I'll state this mantra out loud, and I go further to explore the dynamics of that mantra out loud to myself. I've found that it's like a mindful, meditative quality when I say these things out loud to myself. But it also becomes a distraction. I continue to talk to myself out loud like I'm two people going back and forth. There is strength in the balance between heart, mind, and body. Through all of this, I get asked, what's your why? By other people, by myself. And I'm finally able to articulate that it's about searching for a greater connectivity with myself and the world around me. And ultimately, this has led to me having empathy and compassion for myself and also for the world around me. Through all of this, it's helped for me to bring people onto my team, metaphorically speaking, of course, but I recruit constantly as a coping method for my panic. Sharing my experience, particularly around the moment of panic with people, has helped make me feel not alone. Life twists and turns in unexpected ways. It can be overwhelming, it can be scary, it can be unfair. But if it can be those things, then it can also be exhilarating and full of love and happiness and profound feeling of fulfillment. I'm not alone. And with me sharing this with you, you are now not alone. I'm grateful that you're all on my team, and I wish you peace and love and lots of popsicles. Thank you. Thank you!